Leonidas drops the stun and drops the full ult. Oh my goodness, look at the health bars. It's a quad kill.
Should find the kill. Lunara will clean up that fight. Oh my god, I can't believe it. It is going to be Soul Shield. You gotta be kidding me. And Raw to take the 3v1, gets one, looking for the second. Crispy is popping off.
Looks like that Blizzard may connect with 4 people.
Ball, Lady Ronin! Oh my goodness, what a chat!
That was really good.
Hello and welcome to the Nexus Gaming Series first playoff game of the Nexus division. I'll be your caster tonight. My name is Feldroth. I'm joined by my co-caster, Broomboy. Thanks for joining, Broomboy.
No problem. Really looking forward to this one. We have two teams that obviously faced each other in the regular season, both kind of at different ends of the tournament bracket, but there was a pretty good result for Minion Miners during the regular season.
Yeah, so we have, for everyone's reference, LTK, Rockbottom, and Minion Miners facing off here. LTK is the #1 seed, and Minion Miners is the #8 seed. So very first game scheduled of this playoff bracket. Minion Miners actually pulled off one of the few teams to pull off a victory over LTK in the regular season. So as Broomboy said, this has the potential to be an upset victory if they can do it again. So I'm excited to see kind of what the dynamic is here, and obviously a very powerful team at LTK, but Minion Miners has been known to pull off some pretty crazy stuff. So let's see what happens. Quickly into map overview as we go into draft. Bans were Alterac, Valley, Volskaya Foundry, Braxis Holdout, and be at Battlefield of Eternity, absolutely. And then LTK, as the home team, chose to go for first pick rather than map pick. Minion Miners took us to Infernal Shrines. Jumping in right off the bat, really quick bans, just back and forth, left and right. Lucio being banned out by LTK Rockbottom, as well as Blaze. Garrosh being banned by Minion Miners, as well as Johanna. So immediately kind of starting for a choke lock. Rhaegar is up, though. Not a priority, though. Hogger being the first picked up.
They're moving quick. We're
Moving
not going to have much time for analysis at this point.
That's right. Lunara's already picked up. Hogger great on this map just because he can set up those infinite spins on the shrine if he's given the time. And unless the team's ready to move in quickly, going to be difficult to focus. Deckard, a great anti-dive healer, suffers a little bit from, point and click solid CC against, or like suffers in trying to keep people up that are like that. If they Minion Miners can move around, Deckard's going to be a really strong healer here. Anduin and Dahaka. Not surprised to see the double bruiser. They did that a lot this past season.
Absolutely, yeah. I was gonna call that out myself. That's kind of their calling card this season is very heavy front line, multiple bruisers, oftentimes forgoing a tank entirely. So we'll see. This shouldn't be a surprise to Minion Miners, but let's see if they've got something cooked up for them.
Yeah, in the past I've seen Dahaka and Leo, so we could still see Leo and then have kind of a weird hybrid double bruiser front line for the 4-man, and one of these bruisers offlaning, or we could see Hogger as a replacement for the Leo, just map specific. Whoa. And we have a Cho'Gall pickup.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess if you're cooking up a pocket strategy all season, why not bust it out first round against the #1 team? There we go.
That's right. And there's Leoric, like we expected. This is going to be wild. Cho'Gall is going to change the dynamic a little bit. He can be good against a bunch of melee. However, Leo has percent damage. Hanzo can get percent damage. So they don't have a classic sustain damage, however, except for, like I said, Leo later on. He's going to be able to shred Cho'Gall once he gets to levels 13 and 16. But prior to that, it's going to be a little bit rough potentially. However, Cho'Gall's kind of weak early and is super strong late game. So see how that goes.
Ragnaros to round it out. I'm pretty intrigued by the Deckard pairing with Cho'Gall. It's not something we commonly see. Interested to see how that's going to work out. They do have mobility to pick up, rubies, which is, potentially the talent here at 4 with that much melee. But I'm really looking forward to this. So here we go.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the game. Putting in these characters here as we talk. Dr. Ford. Okay. Shadow playing. So. All right. So Rag is an interesting pickup at the end because it provides a lot of counter pressure to the excellent macro presence that LTK has. So I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
As we dive into this game, let us start with, actually. All right. So for the side of LTK Rockbottom, we have Ree playing the Anduin, Dr. Ford playing the Dahaka, Lloyd playing the Leoric, Shadowstorm playing the Hanzo, and Huge Slot on Hogger.
And on the side of Minion Miners, it's Wonton Soup on the Gull, Marshall on the Ragnaros, Weskra on Deckard, Himibo on Cho, and Lunara, Sir Mac of Cheese.
Very good. All right.
Now it is an E-build Ragnaros here, which is also pretty interesting with the heavy front line of LTK.
Yeah.
It could get some good value later on in the game.
Okay. Starting right off the bat, we actually have a Redemption Hanzo, which makes sense against the Cho'Gall. I think they need the sustained damage later on in the game. Other standout pickups at 1. Blast Wave build on the Ragnaros. He's going to be a little bit more of a game time threat when it comes to team fights, especially against the melee crew.
And the W build Dahaka is also something to call out. It's going to make him super tanky against the spell damage of Cho'Gall. Totally.
I wonder if he continues to spec into that. Typically, W build for him does better against a ton of heroes. LTK right off the bat taking advantage of the fact that Cho'Gall's a little bit weaker early game to take... Oh, Shadow Storm taking a lot of damage, doesn't quite go down. But the aggressive camp of Minion Miners right off the bat.
Yeah. LTK clearly kind of understanding where the power spikes are for both teams, knowing they have the beef to kind of force them out. Sir Mac of Cheese, though, almost did get that Hanzo, which is, you know, extra bad if he's a Redemption Hanzo that goes down. So that's something to, you know, take note of moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Viper with the Broom Boy, so Johanna one trick. I think that his keyboard is locked to only say those words, no matter who he's watching.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure it's a bot at this point. I don't think Viper Hots is an actual player.
Careful, Viper Hots, you'll get banned for bot.
Pretty standard play, honestly, from both teams. Apart from the invades going to the Bruiser camps just before the pop of the first objective. Really kind of what you would expect from teams of this caliber as they head into the playoffs. So it's good to see they're both kind of tight on their timings.
Yeah, absolutely. Leo's a little bit ahead. Lunara's going to stay and capture this. She does scout out them sitting there with the Wisp, which is smart. That would have felt bad right before the objective.
Boy, would it.
Ragnar is spending a little extra time top lane to try to clear this, or at least get the advantage. I'd like to see him leaving it pretty much right now. They don't want to let that Hogger set up. However, he is.
Think they
a different approach on the Hogger. He's not doing the square. He's doing that diagonal. I actually kind of like that better.
Yeah, it puts you in harm's way less of the time, but I was going to call out, it looks like Minion Miners are just knowing they're weak early, forcing the push, knowing the objective isn't that great, and getting some pretty good damage done on this bottom port.
Yeah, taking the entire wall is actually really strong, especially with this Arcane Punisher. If they can keep it from like, even if it just matches it with the same, that was probably a valuable trade.
Yep.
They are here with 38 though. There's no way they try for it. Arcane Punisher goes over to LTK Rockbottom. And let's see how this defense goes. I'm intrigued. This could be a not a Twisting Nether game, but a Shadow Bolt game for the Cho'Gall, just to quickly burn these Punishers.
Right. Yeah, I think and with the big bodies as well, they could definitely do some work. Just a couple things to call out that we talked about. It is not rubies. It is the Rejuve potion, and Dahaka is going more into that trick build at 7.
Yeah, absolutely. Finishing up the W. Rag's still going on Blast Wave build, which is to be expected. I think that's pretty much set at this point. Nature's Culling on Lunara, which is going to be a big threat on burning these Punishers as well as clearing these objectives. I'm interested. Also, the burst build with Choking Pollen, the Q talents to get that extra damage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they feel like they're strong enough to actually take a full-on engagement, because they're playing a very safe game so far, knowing where their strengths lie in the back half of the draft. But LTK's draft is no slouch late in this game, so it'll be interesting to see the dynamic kind of play out.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Looks like slowly LTK is just kind of chipping away at bottom and middle, keeping up the pressure and kind of keeping the boot on the neck of Minion Miners right now.
Yeah, with 10's advantage, Minion Miners is looking for 10's right away. We do see Dragon Zero coming out, Light Bomb instead of Salvation, Entomb, which makes sense, Isolation as well, and then a Shockwave. Arrow comes out, but does not actually end up causing the pick on the Cho'Gall.
Yeah, Shockwave was burnt as well, so that is 2 ults down. It'll be interesting to see if Minion Miners thinks now is the time to engage.
Still a Twisting Nether pickup. Lava Wave for the Ragnaros is going to be used top lane. Stay a while and listen. Probably a good peel for this Cho'Gall as the game goes on. Hammer for the extra stun, and Leaping Strike for the Lunara.
Fairly standard picks, I would say, across the board.
Potentially a fight here with this group. Hogger's looking to potentially get caught out, uses his bounce to good effect, and ends up escaping. Hard to catch a Hogger.
Here. What an annoying hero.
Once
Looking
again, looking
at
at
Hanzo.
Hanzo very far forward. Without a team, Anduin is in place to pull, but steps up instead.
Wow.
Cho'Gall is here as well. No support for these two heroes. This is definitely a pick on the Anduin. Yeah, here it goes.
I don't know if that was hubris or something that they had seen on tape, but it didn't really play out for them.
Yeah, potentially a miscommunication or a lot of damage on Cho'Gall. But look at that, man. Cho'Gall goes down. Wow.
Yes. Wow, indeed.
Not expecting that amount of damage in that short of time to the Cho'Gall, and obviously neither was the Cho'Gall.
Yeah, it must have been the armor reduction on the Hanzo 7, I think.
That paired with these the brute force talent at 4 for staggering blow on the Hogger. It's a very quick mortar punisher. However, Ragnaros is going to clear that wave, so there's nothing to push with. Even though that goes down pretty quickly, they can now start to clear. There's 3 here bottom. They see 1 top, 1 mid. Lunara is not helping to clear this objective. The lava wave is coming down bottom. This is potentially a team fight moment. Do they get caught? Hogger doesn't get caught. No one gets caught.
No one gets caught, but they're not pushing, so probably save some damage on the bottom wall, but the fort goes down.
Yeah, a lot of damage on mid fort as well. I think this is a... You know, I'm actually impressed that the bleed is pretty slow from Minion Miners. It could be a lot worse at this point. I think that's, you know, the rag for you, pushing you into the late game. I think we'll see this really kind of an interesting shift, either further into LTK's favor at 16, or really turning on the Cho'Gall with those big orb stuns.
Hey now.
That's a bounce.
Yeah.
He uses Shockwave, ends up missing on the Lunara. Cho'Gall's coming out. Stay a while and listen's also used. Hogger, is it going to get caught? It's a good kill for Minion Miners.
Absolutely. I think some of these defensive tools they drafted, like the Lava Wave and just the general deep push of Lunara, has really helped them stem the bleeding, to your point. But it looks like Rag gets caught top and it goes down, but Minion Miners quick to respond in taking bottom fort.
Yeah, this is the right call. It balances the wave. They will lose top, which is unfortunate ahead of the top objective, but it at least gives them some balance. It's taking long enough for them to take top that they're also putting some damage on mid. And that is one of the weaknesses of the draft that LTK has. I don't think they push very well. I think they'll have to get a couple kill advantage and a Punisher in order to put a lot of pressure on core.
And we are nearing close to 16 where Cho'Gall starts feeling frisky, so hold on to your hats, folks.
That's right. Leo opting for the Drain Life build instead of the auto attack talents at 13 and 16. Drain Life build will chunk the Cho'Gall just like the auto attacks will. However, if Cho'Gall can interrupt or push himself out of the range of Drain Life, then the damage is very clearly mitigated rather than just staying on with auto attacks. So I think we'll see which one of those, or how that works for them as the game goes on. Cho'Gall moving, actually gets pushed out. That's a couple ults.
Oh,
and the taunt comes out as well. All right.
They are down 16.
There goes Hogger getting so close. And he ends up being fine.
Love to see a little friendly BM.
Little-
16 is picked up, and
16.
those stun arms are online.
They're online. A lot of damage looking for the Ragnaros. That stun arrow comes out. Marshall trying to get away as best he can. Ends up getting away. Cho'Gall looking for this Hanzo. Does a lot of damage. Twisting Nether is pushed out. Gets cut in. They catch the Ragnaros. Do they catch the... I don't think they get any return kills here.
I don't think they're healthy enough right now to fight, though.
Yeah, Hanzo and I think they should be moving after this objective right at this moment. How instead they're choosing to fight. They might end up getting the hockey kill, not quite. Silence goes out onto the Deckard. Floyd ends up going down on Leoric. Interesting.
What a wild game so far.
Yeah, back and
From
forth.
not having much action at the start, they're making up for it.
That's right. 2 kills each in the first 13 levels, and now we're trading back and forth pretty regularly. Rag a little bit late to this, so this would be technically an even fight if they choose to engage. Leo will appear in the middle of it, probably around 5 seconds from now with his trait having at it. Dr. Ford pressing the wave up, so they're going to take damage as they try to push in. Hanzo taking a ton of damage. Arrow coming out as well as stay a while and listen. Rag ends up being the one going down. Lloyd taking a ton of damage, but Cho'Gall is very low also. Tomb comes out potentially to block. Big stuns, lots of damage on the Hanzo. The Hanzo goes down, but so does the Cho'Gall. So much at once. That definitely goes over an advantage to LTK Rockbottom as 3 heroes are down for Mini Miners.
Yeah, Rag was unfortunately split off by that wave. It looked like they engaged on the Hanzo, almost got him, but then Hogger kind of lived in Ragnaros's lap for the better part of that fight and was able to secure the kill.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm noticing, I mean, and anyone who's played with Cho'Gall, I think, understands this, that Cho'Gall's, best when he's not having to peel, and he doesn't have really the kit to facilitate a lot of the, a lot of that peeling. And so with the team that LTK Rockbottom has, they can really just walk right up to the weakest character, or the character that peels the least. Probably that's Deckard, probably that Ragnaros, and then focus on them without really having to worry about the Cho'Gall.
Yeah, I think you're seeing that maybe in the Deckard 16 pick with safety in numbers.
Yeah.
Just giving him that additional armor and basic ability recharge rate, as he's kind of been left on an island with this Lunara, fending for themselves while Cho'Gall does his thing.
Lunara's pretty capable with the leaping strike of escaping a lot. I think the Rag, it's really on this Rag to try to play far enough back to survive into these longer fights. However, this Punisher does nigh to nothing, although LTK does get mid-fork down. Was that already down?
If it wasn't, it was almost down. So it's not a ton of damage that was needed, but I think this is kind of the Ragnaros effect that Storm Leaders everywhere know and love.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of damage going to Rag. He gets out pretty handily. I think with these dragon arrows, ooh, the Silence and Tomb just barely missing. That's going to be a huge difference as this goes late game. I think the Silence and Tomb has the ability to really secure the kill on anyone here for against Minion Miners.
Definitely. It's play of the game as well, giving them another kind of pseudo global to go along with the Dahaka, keeping the pressure up. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as we approach 24 Minion Miners.
Oh, arrow comes out along with the a lot of damage goes on Lunara. Void is taking some damage, is moving in. I'm assuming that was the hope for a team fight reinforcement as well, but their positioning was just not going to let that happen. Top's pushing in quite well. That will have to be responded to shortly.
Yep, Rag now has 2 of those bad boys that he can send in the lanes to delay this game even further. Maybe get that 30 power spike I've heard legends about. And it looks like, you know, a couple ults were burned there, but kind of in a way that's not as cohesive as I've come to expect from LTK. So it looks like they're whiffing on a couple of these, and we'll see if that continues and if Minion Miners can get back in this game.
I think they're having a hard time identifying their kill condition here. I think they know it has to be against the Lunara, it has to be against the Decker, it has to be against the Ragnaros. Kind of an invade here from Cho'Gall, potentially separating the teams as they come from the above and from the left. These team fights. Ultimate comes out from Hogger, yep. Lots of damage going out onto Cho'Gall as well as the sleep, but Cho'Gall ends up going down very quickly. Ragnaros is off by himself. Definitely suffering from this.
Ooh, Lloyd
Leo
gets a double entomb.
It's a double entomb, but I think it's a. Oh, he does survive. Just the Cho'Gall going down. Man, I don't know how the Cho'Gall survives longer in these team fights. Really hard for the Deckard, unless he's very well set up ahead of time to provide the healing that Cho'Gall would need. Also, Cho'Gall chose for the massive armor bonus at level 13 instead of the stasis. So, not sure what the stasis would have necessarily provided more than the armor, but once that armor gets burned, he loses a large amount of his only survivability.
Not to mention the armor debuff from Hanzo, so they have a pretty good answer to that as well, in terms of making it a little less effective.
Yeah, you may be hitting a net 0 there instead of really getting a positive advantage. All right, this looks to be another Punisher going over to LTK Rockbottom, while Minion Miners just kind of preps to defend this. Not much of a wall here in mid keep, so this is going to go right on the keep. All ultimates up for both teams. See if Cho'Gall tries to pull this up a little bit. Immediate wave right as they're trying to pull the jump, which is smart, I think, because it pulls the team away. Arrow goes out, really not doing a ton here. Ragnaros gets into the objective, or into the keep. That drain hope on that, that Molten Core really takes it down. However, once again, just an extremely quick burn on the Punisher with not much being done here. Very interesting.
Yeah, I feel like Minion Miners just needs one of these engages to go their way, maybe finishing that pick on the Hanzo that they've been diving at, and we might see them actually kind of snowball through some of this remaining structures, but it'll be interesting to see how and if they can actually get that done.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. If there's a way that Minion Miners can do anything other than kind of slowly delay this game. I haven't seen really a win condition. Now, obviously, they can win a team fight and things can turn pretty quickly. This next objective is bottom lane. It is the lane they have the furthest pushed out, so it's the most critical for them to win. I'd like to see them with, setting themselves up to firmly position themselves for a fight on this bottom objective so that they can, I think this is the play or lose moment for them.
It's definitely feeling that way, though they have been able to just kind of hang on. But hang on right now, Shockwave comes out.
Yep, the Haka going to be digging in pretty quickly. Oh, the arrow burns Lunar very quickly. A lot of damage going out on the Deckard as well. He ends up dying. But the Hanzo goes down in return. Silence quite across the board. A lot of damage on the Hogger. He goes down as well. A lot of damage on the Leoric. He goes as well. Oh, this is an advantage to Minion Miners. And the objective could pop at any moment. They do end up chasing the Anduin and the Dahaka.
Probably trying to get some siege done before the objective, which is the smart play. But there we go. That's exactly what I was talking about. They just need one of those things to go their way, and let's see what they can do.
Is this the Orchid?
Lloyd coming up soon.
Too far forward. A lot of damage going out on the... but Dahaka goes down. Lloyd is coming up any time now. Ragnaros is going to take that as excuse to escape.
Entomb is up.
Leo is, a force to be reckoned with at this point when it comes to surviving against, just a couple high health heroes. So, misses the Drain Hope. That is his cue to leave. This objective taking a very long time to pop. It will go live before Dahaka is up, but Dahaka, I imagine, will have Dig right around that same time. And so this will be another 5v5 fight on this objective.
Augur doing that top camp. That'll put some pressure on that top. Leo getting jumped on, burning his E, and able to skirt to safety. But it looks like Minion Miners is going to have quite some time on this objective before LTK gets there.
Yeah, I imagine maybe 15 or 20. Maybe getting to halfway before LTK arrives. Camp pushing mid. Arrow comes out from Hanzo. Looking, and it completely misses. He ends up not refiring it and have to walk all the way close. Silence goes out on the Deckard. He's trying to live. Lloyd's going to go down. Ragnaros in the backline alone. Anduin gets caught at the very end. Looks like it's Hogger at this point. That is a 3-0 advantage to Minion Miners, as they're looking for their last Punisher and then pushing bottom, which could be a win condition. I think, you think this is core?
Yeah, I think they have to go core. I think there's 3 down. I'm not sure if the Hawk is getting out of here either, so I hate to say I could have put this into the ethos of the universe, but this is kind of exactly what I was talking about. What needed to happen for Minion Miners?
Yeah.
And let's see if they can close this out.
I agree. This is the moment. And unfortunately, this is the worst case scenario for LTK, because they don't have a team that can well clear this Punisher. This core is just going down so quickly. Leo with a last-second attempt on the. Oh my goodness, that's going to be game 1, going over to Minion Miners after an incredibly long, hard-fought first game of the series. Well played.
What a wild one.
What a wild one. All right. Let's look at this post-game as we wait for them to choose the next of the series. Anduin not able to heal as much as Deckard, which was around Deckard almost reaching 100k, Anduin close to 70k. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that Minion Miners is on the back foot, taking a ton of damage for the most of the game. And when you're leading the charge, not losing as many people, you don't have as much to heal. Both healers doing a great job. Deckard surviving into those. He was one of the targets the entire time. Yep. When he survived, that really, I think, shifted things late game. Gall doing a ton of damage, as he is like to do. Hanzo up behind about 15k. And then, of course, those Ragnaros numbers are just silly. But it's a level 24, 25 game. So Dahaka doing very well on that front as well.
Yeah, honestly, some of those talent picks that we kind of highlighted, like the safety in numbers, I think probably was the difference between him dying in the Silence Entomb. So, those came in clutch. Lloyd hit some really good Silence Entombs towards the end, but they were just a touch off with the Light Bomb and the Arrow, and I think that kind of turned the tides of the fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. One of the problems with, obviously going Redemption Hanzo, the way that talent is set up, if you die, you lose quite a bit, and it takes a little while for you to get back to that point where you're a viable threat again. The where that really struggled is they were winning and carrying that momentum early game. They could never finish out the win while they had that advantage in structures and on the map presence. So when it moved to that final fight and Hanzo ended up dying, when he was back up, it's hard to clear when your attack speed is back to the half normal. So interesting.
Yeah, he was chunking people pretty good, but it looks like the next map is up, and we're headed to Dragonshire.
All right, game number 2 on Dragonshire. Let's update this so that we see that. Dragonshire. This was chosen, I'm assuming, by LTK.
It looks like map pick was chosen by LTK, yes.
Alrighty.
LTK in a position they're not really used to. They were pretty dominant all season, so let's see how they respond to kind of getting upset there at the end of the map that they were winning kind of so handedly.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see. We said at the beginning, Minion Miners is used to, pulling out those strange comps. Obviously, a Cho'Gall draft, as to kick off the playoffs is, I would consider to be strange. So I'm excited to see how that translates into a game number 2. They really put LTK, I'd say, on the back foot, even though LTK was winning that entire game 1. For I'd say through level 20 and into the really late game, there wasn't really a condition for them to close that out. And we mentioned in the game how the engages felt a little awkward. So Ree says we took first pick, they took map. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I will update that.
Yep. They took map. They might have a pocket strategy. Again, I mean, hey, the Cho'Gall Deckard, I wasn't a huge believer to start it off, especially when I didn't see the rubies come out, but they made it work, so I'm not going to doubt them. I know they played a lot of Blaze in their first matchup, which is why we saw that banned out. They also pulled out a Deathwing, so
Yeah.
will be interesting to see if they could work in another kind of unusual hero, because I think that kind of threw LTK, who typically plays unusual, bruiser heavy drafts, kind of through a loop a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would agree. I think thinking back to that Deckard, as soon as he was picked, the first comment was, that's a anti-dive kind of healer. So to me, that makes sense against a multi-bruiser. You're going to guarantee value in your ultimate with Stay a While. I think that was a huge disruption point in game number 1, and that was kind of a respect to the extreme bruiser dive style that LTK has displayed this entire season. Also, the tenacity of just holding on. I'm interested to see if Ragnaros or someone else comes into play again and says, hey, let's just force this game to go really, really long. With Dragonshire, you have some interesting opportunities coming up as well. You have Rexar as an often pick. You have Samuro as a threat. Abathur as someone that could get some face time here. Dahaka is still really strong. But the absolute necessity of this map is to split between multiple points at once. Obviously, you have to hold bottom, you have to hold top, and then through holding both of those, you can channel the mid objective. So I think we'll see some more isolation heroes and less of this kind of group move mentality. and I'll be interested to see kind of these matchups go off on a more singular basis.
Yep, full on grits. Just letting the chat know, as we did it at the outset, for those of you just joining us, that Minion Miners did win their series against LTK in the regular season. They're looking to do it again. It was a 2-1 win, but let's see if LTK can get one up on them.
Yeah, absolutely. K Squared, how you doing? Thanks for joining the chat. Inviting me to games, but I couldn't join, so just pulling in viewers instead. So that is a great thing. If you're not familiar with Nexus Gaming Series, it's a amateur league for Heroes of the Storm, and if there's any way we can pull more of the player base into an organization like this, it's very welcome and a great way to play Heroes of the Storm. So I'm glad you're viewing. Full on Grits is absolutely right. They did that in that upset victory during the regular season based on the standings through playing some strange stuff. So I'm excited for game number 2. I know it's going to be fascinating.
We'll see if they stick with their bans, but things going at a slower pace noticeably. So LTK having a think on it.
Yeah, I think the speed of game number 1, the way game number 1 ended up going, everyone's a little bit more contemplative here. Blaze ended up getting banned out as though very strong hero, just typically an excellent offlaner, excellent addition to frontline with the stuns and survivability. Garrosh still getting banned, Lucio still getting banned, and Joanna. So these end up being the exact same bans, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you're right. Cho'Gall, run it back. Here we go.
Here we go. Same draft. See how it works. Game number 2. Let's see if they keep their similar style. They typically pick a bruiser first. They picked Hogger last time. They might prioritize Dehaka for a global on this, except they go for the Anduin right out of the bat. They tend to really like Anduin. Ree plays an excellent Anduin. And the Lunara. This could be game number... And the Deckard. If it ain't broke.
Run it back.
Running it back. Shadowstorm switching it up for us, which is great. We have the Chromie pickup instead of the Hanzo. I like her on this map a lot. She has a lot of great point control on the channels, a lot of excellent damage. If they pick up some lockdown to pair with it, then guarantee that with no cleanse on the Deckard. There's a lot of potential there. Tychus also being picked up for some tank burn. However, what that does is tips the hand of both of the damage types before mid ban. So I'm interested to see if they get punished for doing that.
Lloyd's comfort pick taken away with the Leo. We're also seeing 2 classic damage and the respect ban.
Good. Respect banning the Cho'Gall. You love to see that. I think the damage pickups are okay because Minion Miners showed the healer. Typically, the healer pickup kind of counters the damage style of the enemy team, as well as potentially the engage style, which they've chosen to obscure. Falstad pickup along with the Sonya. Lloyd also plays a great Falstad. There was definitely a world where he was off laning on that character.
I've heard legends, yes. Whereabouts giving us a heads up that we need to update the scoreboard when we jump in.
Right. Thank you very much, Whereabouts. Showing that update right now.
Okay. It looks like a Varian, taunt Varian. I'm interested to see if they go 1-3-1. Chromie can anchor the bottom. Well, a gank squad of Varian and when Tychus kind of roam. So Sonya, not the most escapable bruiser. It'll be interesting to see what they go with. But apart from Hogger, not a lot of camp clear on this side of LTK.
Yeah, the taunt Varian really kind of builds on what I was mentioning with the setup for the Chromie. Mei as the main tank for Minion Miners. I like that pickup. The blind for the Tychus really makes her a survivable option against that specific tank burn hero.
I think she may struggle when Shieldbreaker or the anti-heal talents come out from Varian. The other thing is, I have a feeling Shadowstorm might go with the rewind, excuse me, as they don't have a cleanse for many of their other heroes. So something to keep our eyes on.
Absolutely. The rewind is definitely an option. I think it just depends on whether or not Chromie is prioritizing the point capture or prioritizing the kill pickup. Both perfectly viable. Just kind of depends on the style that they want to execute throughout this game.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go as we're going into game number 2. We have Ree on the Anduin having a little fun there with the taunts. Dr. Ford playing the Tychus, Lloyd playing the Varian, Shadowstorm on Chromie, and Huge Slot playing the Hawker.
You got May on Himibo, Marshall on the Sonya, Sir Mac of Cheese on Lunara, Weskra on Deckard, and Wonton Soup on the Falstad.
Right,
looks like we just got a shout out from Materium's wife that we don't sound annoying. One of the best things you can tell a man. Thank you.
Absolutely, I'll take it. Materium coming in from Puerto Rico, so I think he might potentially win the farthest audience contributor award. So we just have a wide viewership range, which I think is, you know, to be expected. Lloyd very weak early game on the Varian. However, it ends up being Minion Miners taking a ton of damage early in the set.
Yeah, the Chromie is really popping off. One thing we didn't really address is it's Lloyd on the Varian here. Typically they're offlane, so
they do have a couple different players in their, you know, typical roster. Huge Slot is not typically on this, I think, on their normal roster. Or maybe Dr. Ford also may be different from usual, so or maybe playing some switch ups. Yeah. Wisp providing a lot of great vision on the rotates. They understand where it is, but camps are going to get out by both teams.
Yeah.
They opt to trade about half of that turret in front wall for the Bruiser camp. Falstad is kind of showing up here. He is not given vision. He ends up going in on the Falstad or on the Hugger, making sure that he backs off. And in response, they're seeding bottom lane. Taunt being picked up by Varian, ready to go for these early game picks. This is one of the reasons I like Chromie, is you see this time trap here. She and I think probably Junkrat are some of the best at making sure that, you know, a point is absolutely controlled and held.
Looks like Himibo's pushing in, does get caught by that trap and rooted. And
Lloyd rotating in with a taunt, ready to go. He ends up using it, but is going to get stunned by this pull here. Himibo's going to walk out, taking a good bit of damage, going for those heals. Avoiding the root very nicely. Wonton Soup's able to delay the channel mid here. Dr. Ford's going to try again. However, Sonya has been working top to make sure that that can't happen. Looking at pickups real quick, taunt might go out and ended up not. W build for the Chromie, which is kind of capitalizing on that taunt. It's like, hey, let's put a lot of damage straight away down. Another thing about the W build is it's the talent you pick when you don't think you'll have a clear line of sight on a clear lockdown target. So she didn't choose Q build, which I think was probably smart here. I think the options are typically W build with this kind of map and setup, or the vision and spell power at one.
It's a Falstad top.
Falstad top rotating on the Hogger. Whoa, that spear catches the Hogger. Might end up looking like a kill. A lot of damage, and the kill is secured. That's pretty big for Minion Miners at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's gonna mess up their rotation. They're doing a great job of avoiding the Varian, where he's much more powerful between 4 and 10 than pretty much anyone else.
They're getting caught
Having
out
an
big
ultimate.
time. A lot of damage going out at once. Lloyd with no mana, but I think that's going to be some firm control over bottom. Do they turn it into siege damage, though, is the question. I don't think they can. Varian going back, a lot of damage going out on the Anduin. Pushing them off. They may be able to get onto this point now. Hovering right on that time trap and not even knowing it. Hogger's back up, is top lane. However, this time the shoe's on the other foot with this Bruiser Camp pushing top and the wall pretty much down. So this is going to do a lot of work. Hogger is sitting mid, ready to defend.
So was that rewind, and they were able to capitalize off of it on Sir Mac and Cheese.
So, in terms of the people that's going to be effective against, I think we have to see Falstead take the Gust and use the Gust to displace them so they can't follow up on the rewind rather than an Unstoppable. Leaping Strike is most likely from the Lunara and then the trait from the Mei. So their targets are probably going to be Deckard and Sonya, potentially? I don't know.
Yeah, if she doesn't go leap and can get out of there. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Seeing fairly similar builds from the first game, but it looks like Tychus is going to be able to grab mid DK.
Very quickly, yeah. One interesting thing to call out, we have auto attack built from the Falstad. Taunt goes out on the Mei, not going to be enough damage to follow it up though. Lunara is countering the objective mid. Honeybow just doing a rotation on pots here. Drinking those potions. Lunara doing a pretty good job top. I mean, mid rather. Hogger also rotating down, so you're getting some free time top. Icewall goes out on the Varian as well as the stun. Pushing some people away. Oh, it's Anduin, excuse me. Wrong father-son combo, but it's going to be Falstad going down after the taunt, and the shockwave goes out. Standing in the back line doing just fine.
Yeah, I think Falstad was not wanting to blow the Gust because he thought he might save the Anduin, but he was the one to go down before he was able to pick off Anduin himself.
So walls go down mid and about half that fort. Walls go down bottom. Wall and bottom is healthy. A little bit of damage on mid. Wall's completely down top. So the extra macro and global pressure that Minion Miners has is going to cause some pressure on the off lane. Sonya invading the Hogger on the Bruiser Camp with the rest of the team positioned to defend. Tyke's going to go up really quickly now that they've caught that camp. This is potentially going to be a 5v5 fight, and Hogger, ton of damage. Sonya's, however, caught out by herself. Can't do much. Hogger gets pulled by the Anduin, and now it's Minion Miners on the back foot with the Tychus going down, though. This could potentially be even. Are they staying on the camp? It looks like they are. Light Bomb comes out, unstoppable from the Mei, counters it. Lots of stun and the Gust. They get the objective. Hogger's very low. Shockwave comes out. He walks away. Wesker's very low also. So much damage. Big Root ends up catching the Varian. I think that's going to be the Varian go down. Walking out. Everyone's so low. No one knows what to do. That Bruiser is pushing top very well.
Yeah, I gotta say, sometimes teams choke up in the playoffs and they play more conservatively. Definitely hasn't been the case for either of these guys. No. They're really, playing balls to the wall right now.
That's right. I love how even this game is at this moment. If you look at the structures, it's very close. Potentially looking for a taunt here and does not end up pulling the trigger on it.
Prepare yourselves, heroes.
Once again, we see this aggressive outlook from LTK, and the Deckard pickup is doing a great job of zoning the follow-up for the variant. So if you've been watching the Deckard, his kind of modus operandi throughout this point has been to see the taunt and the engage come out, immediately throw the root behind the variant, not trying to catch him, but trying to slow the engage of the rest of the team, as well as cut off the variant's escape. It's been working pretty effectively. Seeing people in other lanes, they're pushing mid really hard, just going to knock down this fort, and it's going to be successful. Great decision making, great advantage recognition in that moment.
Yep, that's why they're number one. Those small differences really can make the difference, but it looks like Falstad's flying in.
Lead from the Sonya and the Gust aggressively. Shadowstorm is very out of position, goes down right away. The rewind goes out, but to no avail. Very low on the Anduin, he goes out also. And that is a double kill. Excellent engagement from Minion Miners. Really kind of seeing that opportunity and capturing it.
Yeah, this is pretty impressive. Deckard was so excited. He cast his ult the wrong way. Just as I'm gonna say it's BN instead of mistake,
No.
and I'm gonna prove it. So
Okay. All
Check.
right. Well, if you can prove it, let the record show. That's...
approve it. Approve it.
Oh, you're gonna approve it. I was like, how are you gonna prove that?
No.
He's on a fact-checking
sure.
mission after the match. This
I
is
won't
like,
rest till I prove it.
Yeah, it'd be like Dateline or some shit afterwards. When in a
Whisper,
new
have a
episode
seat over here.
of Was It BM? Room Boy searches for the truth. Okay, Dragon Knight picked up by Minion Miners. They're going to use that to balance the game out and once again try to push towards mid. Taika's doing some defense here, but I think he's going to get pushed out every time he looks to do the percent damage, which seems to be the case. Lots of damage being put into that fort, while Minion Miners continues to pressure bottom as well, kind of mitigating the response. Doesn't end up fully catching that fort, but it is very low. I'd still put this at roughly even. Obviously 16 advantages up for Minion Miners. Do they use that to go in on this camp? Potentially. Pause goes out. All right. Let's look for some information while we wait here. Deckard
Seeing the
once again.
safety in numbers, yep. I think you're gonna call that out yourself.
Yeah, safety of numbers, once again, kind of recognizing that dive, you know, threat. Chromie going like absolutely, you know, full into that rewind build with Quantum Overdrive, giving her a lot of spell power. The other thing to call out is Deckard's healing numbers to the Anduin, almost doubling at this point. Those
Yeah.
That's a lot of healing output. It's really well done.
Yeah, I mean, Chromie is able to do a lot of kind of poke damage, which I'm sure where a lot of that is coming from, just looking at the damage numbers between both teams as well, but it's substantial for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can get away with this bottom camp. Looks like Hogger is here.
It's like no. Like the countdown was in the wrong chat. A lot of damage going on that Falstad. However, he does not get followed up on appropriately. I don't think the damage is there. Hogger doing an excellent job of setting that up, though.
Yeah, great stay a while. Actually, sleeping that Hogger before he could finish it, and pretty decent ice wall as well.
Yeah, I would agree. It's like a camp trade moment at this point. Pushing bottom with the siege camp, however, positioning in case they choose to invade this bruiser again, as they've been known to do. Chromie showed mid, so they're going to push up a little bit harder here. Hogger has showed top as well. Falstad rotating to catch that soak. Don't want to let that wave push in too far, rather.
Looks like, yeah, Lunara just finishing off that mid fort. Any second now.
K-Squared saying, asking whether Sony level 1, if every fourth cast to pick up that W talent is worth it. Whereabouts our solo laner for the team, responding with some advice. Yeah, I like that talent when you're going W build. It's pretty good push power in addition to great camp clear. You lose a little bit of sustain of the auto attack heal, but when you're going to go W build anyway, It just really kind of makes sense, I think. And then whereabouts also bring in auto slow and powerful AAers and stuff like that. It's good. They're kind of postured here, trying to delay this. Shadow Storm going to take a lot of damage. Hogger missing the shockwave and just bouncing out. Lloyd gets the taunt on Lunara. However, it's going to be Tychus caught in the stun and the sleep, pulled out by Anduin. Having that pull out is really strong. Lloyd is completely separated by the Lunara, chasing him with damage. And then Miniminer is going to completely push them off of this objective.
Yeah, I've got to say, I was expecting them to really go more on the Mei as she gets rewound here.
Yeah, second
because
rewound at 20. Look at that.
the Shattering Throw is a big pain.
Yeah.
Speaking as a guy who plays a lot of Mei, not a main.
He's not a Mei main, but he feels the Mei pain, if you know what he means. Ooh,
Jesus,
walking into that stun, that's definitely going to be a Lloyd kill. Dr. Ford is prioritized. Sorry, Lloyd, you're not Ree's favorite. Tychus is. As Lloyd goes down. I think with the tank down, this is going to be full map control. This is definitely going to be objective over to Minion Miners. Are they going to push it down middle, or are they going to take a very clear structure advantage on all the forts? It looks like they're pushing in bottom.
Yeah, I like this decision, honestly. It looks like Sonya's going to stay top. Tychus having great burn on this is probably... Actually, it looks like they're looking for a gank top on the Sonya.
That may make sense to me. Sleep is up right now. That she has to wait for the double rewind. She does, and it's just, you know, too long in one place. She goes down. However, this is going to be a ton of keep damage here instead, and I don't know that it's worth it, to be honest. I would have let the forts go down.
No, this is the keep, honestly, and they had the fort in this lane. So.
This, with 20s, this is pressure to the core, which it looks like it's going to be. They're moving immediately past to try to get the kill. Four-man sleep on the Deckard, absolutely astounding. And with level 20s, that's also a silence. They have to start looking at this core because this Falstat's chunking it absolutely with the Dragon Knight. 60% and dropping. We see the laser drill. It goes down. Taunt goes out on the Falstat as long as the stun from the core. A lot of damage. Gust goes out. It's going to be a lot of damage. This is game number 2. Clean sweep domination for Minion Miners in the crazy upset victory. GG, well played. Look at that. Okay, what are you still speechless, or what are your thoughts here at this moment?
I'm just trying to pick my jaw off the floor. That was insane. I usually, you know, a fort and a keep, and you're only level 20, you don't see the game ending. So that gank top was costly, evidently.
Yeah,
But
that was an incredibly impressive showing from Minion Miners. So
yes, Deckard, the Weskra. You know, he had the BM sleep early and then landed that level 20 sleep late on 4 members. And the Falstad Gust, just to finish it off, was, you know, absolutely wild.
yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say on that one sleep that Deckard was responding to the gust, and I think that the pull from the Anduin saved the person he would be sleeping, but I'm not completely sure. So I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, Wesker. That's the most you got. I can't get Brimboy off your off your tracks for long though. I think let's see if there's anyone that wants to do a quick interview here. We reach out to the Minion Miner crew. Let's hop over into the NGS Discord.
Yep.
All right. Let me send them an invite here.
All right, I think we might be getting Sir Mac of Cheese.
Okay. Hello and welcome.
Hey. Oh, did Marsh jump in here? Okay, no, he didn't.
All right, it's just
There was,
you.
I mean,
there was
could
just
bring him in too.
a little. I mean, he can if he wants. There was just a little bit of confusion. Marsh was having bad lag that last game.
Oh no. Well, it worked out very well. Man, what an upset victory! You guys have to be, completely stoked at this point.
We are pretty excited. We are pretty excited.
Yeah. So before we get into the games themselves, what was your prep? We were talking about ahead of time how you guys were one of the few teams to actually take some games off of LTK in the actual regular season. Are you guys just their kryptonite? Have you got them figured out? What's your secret sauce?
Yeah, I think so we came off of our last series with them, and we knew kind of what picks to watch out for. So they really like Leorc. So it was kind of a matter of playing. Like we knew Leorc was coming. We knew Chromie was potentially coming.
Yeah.
We were honestly weren't really sure what they were going for with the triple bruiser. That did catch us off guard a little bit, but that just kind of encouraged a bad habit game one.
Mm.
But yeah, they have some really good picks that we definitely had to watch out for. I think it's just one of those situations of some of the stuff that we play kind of plays around that a little bit because we play a little bit more of a slower kind of spread everybody out type game, and I
Yeah.
think. I don't know if that just works against them or kind of how that matched up, but it felt like we were able to kind of split them off and kind of take them down, a member at a time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we saw. All right, let's dive into game one.
Yep.
I'd say that was you guys held on, like white knuckle grip throughout, I'd say 23 levels, and then you started winning some team fights really, really late. What was the thing you were looking for to kind of, change the team fight dynamic even after all those levels at level 20 and, secure those wins and then transition that to a game one?
Yeah, so Cho'Gall, I think many people know that Cho'Gall's later talents are what really bring him online. So when we went into that draft knowing we wanted Cho'Gall.
Mm-hmm.
So when we play that, we're looking for late game teams. So you see heroes that come online later, but they still have really good wave clear, like Lunara, like Ragnaros, and then you have the disengage from the Deckard. So we're not
Right.
looking to fight you early. And I think that's kind of, I mean, if you watch a lot of our style, like we tend to be kind of passive early unless we think we've caught you out for some reason, and then late game is when we like hit our power spikes and kind of become full heroes, as it were.
Right. Well, it definitely, you guys held on really, really well. Really clearing those punishers very quickly. Obviously, with yourself on the Lunara, and then the Rag being able to molten core, and obviously having the global pressure with Lava Wave. It was you definitely gave yourselves lots of opportunities for things to go your way, and then when you did, you capitalized on them very well. So it was
So something we
great.
didn't really realize until that game is with the double vision talent on Cho'Gall plus the Lennar award, we could see the arrow coming from a lot further away. Like Hanzo's gotten us in the past,
Yeah.
but something that really helped was seeing that arrow come across and like we could sidestep it. I think it got me once, one particular one, and I was between a rock and a hard place. I was either dying to that or something else.
Yeah, I noticed that. You were just like right in that alleyway with those camps in the bottom. But that sidestep, that's a good call out. The sidestep kind of at that last fight, and he couldn't teleport to it because it didn't hit anyone so late that he would have been too far. So
Yep.
yeah, really great. Broom Boy, you have questions on that game one?
Yeah, I just wanted to call out actually some of your play when you were putting a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on that Hanzo and flanking.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you guys spread them out both in the team fights with the Ragnaros kind of flanking on the Anduin in some of these fights, as well as through the macro, which the Ragnaros again kind of played into. Now, were these intentional strategies you guys thought of to counter kind of LTK's play style? Or is that really just, like you said, kind of your bag of tricks that you guys are comfortable playing?
I mean, I think these are heroes that we're pretty used to. Like we definitely have preferred heroes, and I feel like we weren't pushed into anything that wasn't a comfort pick tonight by any means.
Hmm.
That being said, like we do play them a little bit different depending on what the matchups are.
Sure.
So I mean, with a heavy melee, like we let Cho'Gall take the brunt of the damage, and then you literally see Rag come in right after, and then I'm just skirting the edge, and
Yep.
we just get our sleep out and off we go.
Yeah.
So I think it was just able to really disengage that heavy. Like they were looking to stun lock somebody, and we just
Hmm.
wouldn't give it to them. Like they got Cho'Gall, but Cho'Gall, I think he took one of the major armor talents at 13 over
Hmm.
Molten Block just to like, yeah, you dumped CC, but he's still 75% health. Like what happens now? So
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We just we were complimenting you guys on just playing around your power spikes, and I think as we talked about game two, you kind of avoided the other team's power spikes and knew your own much in the same way. So, Fel, if you want to jump into that.
Yeah, the power spikes were something, I really enjoyed seeing the Deckard played as that kind of defensive, disengage and engage denial hero. I thought that was really great. Obviously, you on the Lunara with a lot of burst damage with your choking pollen at 7, a lot of macro pressure and siege with the unfair advantage at 4.
yep,
I think transitioning into game 2. Uh, Game 1 and 2, I think you were actually they had more kills. Game 1, I think you're 1 kill ahead, but it was very balanced each time, where they kind of had focused on an early game strong comp. You guys
hmm
focused on the late game, and then game number 2 is you focused on macro. I think the Falstad was a great pickup. However, the sustain build for him was something that. I think really benefited those Hogger rotations. So that macro style was. Did you choose that map specifically to kind of play in further into that distributed play style? Um, yeah.
Yeah, so Dragonshire is definitely one of our preferred maps. I don't think that's any secret. Anybody who scouts us will know that.
Yeah.
So we like to kind of control the vision in the triangle. Like that's a big priority.
Hmm.
And then generally, like either Marsh or Wonton will end up top, and they'll do their thing with an offlaner, and a lot of it is reliant on them having a dominating force up top. Now we did have the false ad to rotate up, and I think we're able to pull that gank off, once or twice.
Right.
So we generally look for kind of a strong presence top. Now the one thing that really didn't go our way was bottom lane. Like we weren't losing it by any means, but that Chromie was just an absolute nuisance. And
Yeah.
I don't think it was until later on where we were able to kind of spread them out a little bit more that we didn't really play to their advantage in cluster. So we just worked it out to kind of draw them out into lane, and then whether it was Marsh jumping in with leap on top of her or gust behind, like
Hmm.
we had to draw the Chromie out in the open, otherwise she was just going to keep shredding us, and that damage was gross. That I forget who it is, but an amazing Chromie.
Yeah, it was. We commented on the same. Chromie putting out some excellent damage throughout that entire game. The loops really capitalizing on the fact that you guys don't have a cleanse with the Deckard. So we were making some comments kind of early on that Chromie's one of those heroes on that map that with the time traps put some excellent control on those bottom points, and
Yep.
that was something you guys saw a lot with those time traps kind of stopping and setting up for the Varian kills. However, once you guys started putting pressure on the back line, the Varian taunt kind of one track mind focus started harming them. It felt like as you were as suddenly the Anduin was calling for help, or the Chromie or the Tychus, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the way that we kind of like that was kind of a little bit later on. We really dug ourselves out by just keeping pressure mid and top because we, like I said, we were not winning bottom,
Hmm.
but we were just stalemating it and then getting value elsewhere. Because I think that even I think I don't know if Tychus ended up going grenade 7 or not, we were still out wave clearing them. So
Yeah.
just keeping waves crashing in towers and forcing them to have off rotation. So even when they were winning bottom, they weren't getting any real pressure out of it. So just keeping point control and trying to spread them out and get picks where we can. So
Yeah, absolutely. Broom Boy, anything on game 2 for you?
Yeah, for sure. The core call when they went up to call Sonya, it was super unusual to see a team get through a fort, a keep, and the core at level 20. That's like some level like 29 stuff. Usually, were you guys initially expecting that much? Like was Sonya trying to pull people up, or is this kind of just something you guys capitalize on?
We were really surprised they sent all 5 top, especially with Dragon. I think they thought that they were going to give Fort and get the kill on the Sonya very quick and then get back. That did end up taking longer because by the time they rotated down, like Keep was already down. So then, our guys, I think they made a call. So the Dragon Knight just kept going towards structure, and the call from our team was just let them die. So yeah, Wes and I were left to fend for ourselves, which worked out.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
4-minute sleep. That was excellent.
Yeah, Weskra really landed a massive sleep, wonton with the gust at the end there.
Yep.
In your mind, maybe for game 1 and game 2, could you pick out one of your teammates or yourself that you think was the MVP in each?
I think Wes played out of his mind. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody played really, really well, but I think I have to give this one up to Wes. Like he played a really mean. I haven't seen him play quite that flawlessly. Like fights were being turned because of plays he made. Like the very last
Yeah.
fight, when we turned and won that fight on the last objective on the game 1 was him pulling the Leoric out of position so I could murder him.
Mhm.
And then that last like 4-man sleep, like arguably, yeah, I would say his calls won the game for sure. So
100%. Yeah,
Definitely agree.
we were shocked to see the Cho'Gall Deckard pairing. Not something we're used to, at least. But they made us a believer by the end of game 2. Wes can do anything in my book. He's
yeah, big pots and peels. We did used to pair it up with the Alex almost exclusively, but I think it was Alex was just getting dove too hard, and he didn't really have any control. And so like with Lucio, he has like more control than arguably you have with Alex. So we've tried rotating him back on the Deckard, and it's been really working out for us. So and yeah, you'll see that as Lucio is getting target banned, and for good reason.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that was really, really great. I would totally agree. Deckard was, everyone played well, but Deckard was the MVP. All right.
100%.
So just before we move to shoutouts and close it out, you guys are, a great upset victory. 8 seed knocking out the number 1 seed for this playoff bracket. What are you? Who are you really like watching out for as you go through the rest of this? Are you any games that you're tracking and interested to see the outcome of?
I mean, definitely our next matchup, right? So we're gonna have to be watching and seeing what's coming for us next. So I believe what is it? It's Probius and
Boogans. Yeah.
Boogans,
forever. Yeah. Which is also
So-
tonight.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right now.
I think we were gonna go pop over and catch that. I mean, they're both good teams. I feel like we'd have a better matchup in the Boogans because I think we play more similar styles, but I think we want a little better revenge on Probius. So we'll take whatever we can get at this point.
All right. Well, I'll be watching that matchup. Very excited as well. Go ahead and give some shout outs for to close us out.
Well, good game. Obviously, thank you for the cast. Jumping in last minute, it's always good to have a cast, especially because we can go back and review and hear somebody else's perspective on it. So thank you guys for jumping in here. We really appreciate it. Thanks to my team. Thanks to Wesker, obviously MVP. And then thanks again to LTK for just an awesome series. I definitely had a good time. So thanks, guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again. We appreciate your time, and it was a great cast. Look forward to watching you in the future.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Mac. Okay, Broom. I tell you what, I did not come into this expecting what we got out of it, but it was a very entertaining hour and a half. So that was a great match.
Yeah, like hats off to them, honestly. Coming in at the 8th seed versus the 1, it can be daunting. They did it in regular season. they did it even better in the playoffs, not dropping a map. You know, if I were Probius or Boogans, this is a scary team that's kind of just hitting their stride in my eyes.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think they're on fire. They have momentum, and they're hungry for what's coming next. So I'm excited to watch them as they move forward. So, all right, we'll call that for this cast. Thanks for tuning in. We had quite the crew. Thanks for jumping in and being involved in chat. I would suggest jumping over and watching the Probius versus Boogans Forever game that might still be going on right now, or might be finished. I'm not sure. And I look forward to casting again. Thank you, Broomboy, for jumping in.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure. And hope everyone has a good night.
All right. Night, everybody.